Love it, man. I would legit love. I feel like you would have a great personality on camera to
I'm
do
trying
that.
to. Someone told me I sound like a text to speech audio the other day, and I almost cried.
Texas. Wait,
I was like, that's like the worst comment
That's
I
so
could have ever
mean.
got. It was like one of my old tutorials where it was very robotic, but like I was still ready to
also
just
so
cry.
funny. What a good insult.
That's such
know.
a niche insult.
Oh, it was rough. But followed up by like a comment that's like, keep up the good work. And I was like, that's it. That's the balance.
You sound like Siri's brother.
It hurt. It hurt. That was a rough one. Like I could take like other things, but that one really cut deep.
Dang, man.
Because you guys haven't heard my brother's voice, but everyone tells him he has like a podcast voice, a radio host
Oh,
voice.
no.
I go to the barbers the other day, right? And they're like, "Are you Chad's brother?" But just like without the nice voice. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I'm the one trying to actually speak, and you roasted me." So
Man, what a dig.
yeah, and that's like the same day I get the text to speech thing. I'm just like,
You're like, I gotta change
Oh,
my
you got those
voice,
both in
I
the
guess.
same day.
yeah, I was really cutting deep. I was ready to delete the channel and everything. Okay, now I'm done with my sidebar.
That's perfect. There's a good cold open right there.
Yeah.
We love that.
Just include more self-deprecating stuff on the channel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm best at, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what people love to hear, see. I don't know.
I can't catch a single fish. I'm an idiot.
I'm an
I
idiot
can't
who
run.
sounds bad.
I can't fish. I don't have a good voice, but you know what? I'm here. So
I'm here and I'm proud. Hey everyone, welcome back to Rally Caps. It's a podcast for artists, entrepreneurs, and everybody in between. I'm Steven.
I'm Eric, and in between us today is
Kyler Steele.
Tyler Steele, let's go.
do the applause thing.
Yeah, I can't read which
Read.
one
Oh,
is the
great trans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we
can't
can't
hear
hear
it, but I like
it.
it.
You
Yeah.
can't hear it, but we're applauding you right now.
Thank you.
For those of you who have been longtime listeners of the show, you might recognize Kyler as a Rally Caps alumni. We interviewed him almost exactly a year ago, actually.
Yay!
Super fun. Applause. Yeah, super fun episode. We did that one remotely. He was in Jersey. We were in Chicago. But now we have this awesome studio. He is visiting Chicago for a couple of days, and we have the distinct honor of catching up with him again for a follow-up episode. Super excited to have you back on the show, Kyler.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a year, and back then was like the first time I talked to you guys. I remember I was late because I came back from a trip, and I really thought Eric was gonna hate me because he messaged me on Instagram. He's like, "Yo, you coming to this podcast?" And I was like, "Oh no!"
And then you jumped on, and our internet cut out because
Yeah.
someone made coffee.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of technical difficulties.
They
We're
don't
so
know. They don't
embarrassed.
know this. They don't know.
Yeah, they
this
don't know
about the
that.
studio.
No.
Like
Yeah.
we have a breaker in one room and a circuit that runs to our little kitchenette, and it can only hold a certain amount of wattage. So anytime we try to do two things at once, the internet goes out.
Yeah, because we have two hot water heaters and our router on one very, very old line. Which one do you think gets cut out the most? Always the router.
Yeah.
So we felt super embarrassed, but you wouldn't have known that because of editing magic.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well.
It was a great episode, though, and we're super
I feel
excited
like you're
to
the
have
type
you
of person that could help us fix that problem.
Fix it. Yeah, I think it just needs to go in another plug, probably.
back. Yeah, 100%. We love that you're an
Eric, it
engineer
needs
and
to go
everything.
in
but
another plug, and
totally
your
doesn't take
voice
an engineer
sounds
to figure
stupid
that
too.
You're a tech guy. Do you have any recommendations? Yeah, stop being stupid.
Yeah, stop
Plug it
sounding
in
like an
somewhere
automated
else.
voice. So what's good? What's new in your life? We're not even going to intro what you do. They can figure it out.
Sure,
Look up
yeah.
his
A lot
name, Kyler
has
Steele.
well, that's a big reason we're doing this is because a lot has changed since the last episode we did with you.
Yeah, it's been 1 year. I remember last year we were talking, and you guys asked me like how many Instagram followers I had, and I was like, just about 15,000.
Yeah, where are you at now?
Over 200,000.
Okay,
now.
cool.
Yeah.
7 million.
Yeah, 7 million exponential growth.
That is some insane growth, man.
Yeah, so it's been like a wild year, and I've definitely learned a lot more about entrepreneur lifestyle, social media, the way it carves you, the way that you control it, and all that stuff. And I was talking a lot before this podcast. I think I got a lot of stuff, but I know Eric hasn't heard anything yet. Steven's kind of heard Got a little bit of the spiel, but
A little bit on the drive back from O'Hare.
yeah.
You only flew in this morning. My goodness. It
Yeah.
already feels like you've been here for a while.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a preview of the entrepreneur lifestyle. That's what I told Steven is yesterday I work a 9 to 5 because I have a new job than I did last year. I'm a project manager now. But after my 9 to 5, I do a lot of photo and video editing. I do that till about 10 o'clock. And then I have friends on the West Coast that like to play Call of Duty. So I like to have a good work-life balance. So I play Call of Duty till like 1 a.m. because that's like 11 for them, which is a normal time to go to sleep. And then I had a flight here at 4 a.m. So my balance is 3 hours of sleep. But I'm doing great.
But you're
You played last night.
Yeah, I had a good time. We got a win.
There you go.
We're doing trios and quads in Warzone 2. Got a good win. I was really cracked yesterday, but
Does project manager just mean you manage playing video games?
it could.
That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. It could. That was a dumb question, Eric. Okay, tell us more about project management and that job and why you took it. And I mean, can you pay the bills doing entrepreneurial stuff, or like, is that a
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually had my CEO.
yes?
one for one.
1 for 2.
Yeah, we balanced it out.
Yeah. I had my CEO call me the other day, like a Slack call, and he was like, "Kyler, I see your like photo video business is growing a lot." He's like, "Are you gonna be leaving us soon?" And he's like, "Cause I need to like replace you if you are." And I was like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, there's been a lot of followers and a lot of growth, and it's been great, but I don't plan on it like right now because I think one thing is there are a lot of photo video clients that I have, but I'm trying to trim it down to get like a better work-life balance because project management is like right now I'm working at a startup, so I'm managing 2 projects, but it can grow to 4 or 5 projects. So right now it's a little slow as I'm learning because it's a new career path that I've taken from software engineer.
Yeah.
So I'm also like, while I'm managing these projects, I'm taking a course on project management to be better, which actually is great because it fits into the entrepreneurial lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you guys know, like, project management is really important in the creative thing because if you don't script your project and have a timeline for your project, it's gonna fall through. You're gonna miss a lot of deadlines. So the learning that I'm getting from my real job translates into my entrepreneurial lifestyle, which is very helpful. So although I don't have the full day to commit to creative stuff, I'm learning a lot that's applicable in both.
I think that's really going to be really inspiring for a lot of people to hear because I feel like the creative world these days is so one lane and so focused on like, no, you just need to hyper focus on your art in this one niche. And I think so many people don't recognize the value of a multidisciplinary lifestyle in your entrepreneurship and your creativity and your art and how much it can influence and even inspire your creativity in the artistic side.
Yeah, like I said, it works both ways. Like growing a lot on social media has helped like my company that I'm working at because I'm helping them with design work and helping them with their own social media channels to get more content out and more clients. So it actually ends up being a good deal. But obviously, there are like tipping the scales. Like it could be days where the 9 to 5 is a lot of work, and it could be days where I have a big project coming up. So it does become difficult at sometimes, like I say, the times where I'm doing a lot of work and then I want to play games with my friends. But for the most part, like right now, I chose this career. I think that was the original question. I chose this career over software engineering because software engineering was less of those people skills, so it wasn't translating as much. Whereas project management is a lot more transferable skills, and it's a lot more like open time because if I manage my time well at my work, then I can have more time for creative endeavors. So
That's really cool, man. So I guess as far as balancing a 9 to 5 job where you are employed by someone else and then the client work that you have on your own for your own business, managing those 2 things at the same time and seeing both kind of advance in their own rights. Do you like that approach? Would you recommend that to other artists who are just starting out and maybe building their business to have a whole separate 9 to 5 job that's reliable income as they build up their side hustle?
yeah, I definitely recommend it because I think a lot of people, like I've seen videos of people that will show the downsides. So it'll be like people that saved up 50K, 100K, and they'll be like, I'm one of the people that saved up all this money and jumped into my side hustle and I lost it all. And I think people don't see that enough.
Yeah.
So like many people might think I'm successful just because numbers on social media, and like when people meet me, they'll ask me who my manager is and who my PM is and who's helping me with all these stuff, who's my editor, but it's just me. And I think, like you said, like a job that has those transferable skills is very helpful because it's been more sustainable for me to create now. Because I did think at first, like, oh, it's just create. It's just go make a YouTube video, make an Instagram reel, make a Twitter post. But it's not that. Like, you have to have like some kind of strategy, some kind of plan. Otherwise, you're just gonna be sporadically posting and you won't grow. So yeah, I definitely think it's good to have like a disciplinary job to teach you some fundamentals that can translate into like your creative passion.
Love that.
But what? So me being me, I'm gonna then ask the question. We're gonna go deep first. What does the growth mean then? Like, what is the end goal of the growth? Like for you specifically, and then just your advice at large. Because like, is the growth ultimately going to lead to you being fully entrepreneur? Like, is that going to help you lead the lifestyle you want to then, or is it just growth for the sake of growth?
I hope so. I think, like I was saying, the end goal for me is to have like a community that's really interested in the things that I'm interested in, because a lot of followers to me doesn't really mean anything if they're not engaged, they're not interested, because there's a huge difference between a following and like a community. So I might have 200,000 people, but that's been over the course of a year. So how much can someone learn about me in the course of a year? If I have 200,000 over the course of 5 years, I think it's going to be a much better community because they will have been with me for a long time. So I think the end goal for me is to consistently post, gain this following, and see who sticks around for the long haul, because those are the people that I want, the people that are interested in lifestyle and travel and photography and working a 9 to 5 with a side hustle. Those are the people I want around. Whereas some people might find my video, think it's cool, follow me, but then 3 months later be like, oh, why am I following this guy? They won't even know me that well, and they'll unfollow me. And so that's not like an end goal person that I want. I really want someone that feels connected to me and feels like they can get value from me, but also appreciates like any kind of content I'm gonna put out there, because I do want to explore more creative freedom just throughout my following. I don't want to like have social media carve me, because I have found through the success of social media that obviously there are fast growth methods, which in summary is just you provide value, you will get followers. But at the end of the day, providing value can be, for lack of a better word, boring, because it's just sitting like in like this podcast. Like, I think we're providing a lot of value during this podcast, but I'm sure we would all have a lot of fun if we were in like Yosemite, like chasing sunsets. Like, that would be way more fun. But there's like a balance to both of them. And I want my following to enjoy the value, but also come along on the adventures because they care about me as a person.
So it's like two sides of it for you.
Yeah.
There's the excitement, there's the adventure, there's like the participation in the lifestyle, and then there's also the value add of the education, the things that you're learning along the way, the things that you're providing to people. And we actually kind of talked about this in the car on the way back from the airport this morning. It's like, oh, how do you kind of diversify the things that you're doing as far as the content it is that you're making, where you're not stuck as the tutorial person, the gear review person. You can also, provide just the things that are really exciting to watch, the things that are fun to watch, but breaking out of the mold of like, oh, I'm the camera guy, I'm the review guy, the tutorial guy. Like, those aren't always the most life-giving things to do. They're not the most fun always, but they also do, it's a double-edged sword. They bring people to the channel.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I definitely like making gear videos, having like companies send me gear. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have like an experience, like going out to a place, taking people along with me. But those are the videos that are slower pace, and definitely in this like media where everything's super fast paced, fast cuts. It's hard to gain that connection with people organically unless you're doing like that fast paced content. So it is difficult, but like I said, it's a time period. So I don't think there's a follower goal. I think there's like a community goal. And I think that is like an undefined timeline, because I haven't been around long enough to know how long it takes to make someone feel like they're in a community, because I've only really been committed to social media for about 2 years now. And there are definitely some people that message me repeatedly, and I talk to them a lot, and I'm like, this guy is a really good follower, a good community person. He's great. He interacts with a lot of videos, everything. But then, like I said, there's plenty of new people that aren't there yet. Like, I think I read something that says like you need to have someone see your content like 7 to 8 times before they like kind of recognize you as like someone. Like, okay, that might be the tutorial guy, but at least they recognize you. But yeah.
So what is it that you do?
Right now, it's different. It's kind of weird because a lot of my channels like are different. On my Twitter, I mean they're like in the same realm of camera, photo related, but on Twitter I do a lot of posts, a lot of behind the scenes like editing stuff. On Instagram, I post like just behind the scenes using different cameras. My goal with the series has always been to show that you can use any camera to create amazing photos. I think some people might misinterpret it as me just using amazing cameras to take amazing pictures, but I use a lot of lackluster cameras to take what I would consider amazing pictures, trying to inspire people. I've always wanted to get more into this talking style content on my short form content like Instagram, but the content that I've been producing has been doing well. It's kind of like I've just been producing that, which has been good, but it's kind of like what I was saying before is like social media can carve you because when they're pumping you with followers for a content that's doing well, you feel inclined to keep doing that.
Feed the beast.
And then, keep feeding it. And then you grow this giant following that only expects one thing. And then if you post something else, it could get like no views because people don't care about that. So I've grown really fast, but I've almost really want to slow down, grow a community that understands that I don't just create one type of video. I create many types of stuff. And like you said, what do? It's right now it's mostly camera, a little bit of travel, and a lot of editing and value providing. But I want to convert into like lifestyle with cameras and lifestyle cameras and travel because I think that's a more encompassing thing that shows like a real life experience rather than here's a camera, here are photos.
So we just covered Instagram and Twitter then. Another conversation we had earlier was about your YouTube channel, which is something that's growing as well. Put a lot of time into it. It is a little more tutorial review heavy, but you also have a lot of interest in short films and cinema and making kind of movie style videos for YouTube as well. Is there like a dream short film that you want to create or just a style you want to lean into more for your video work?
So this is like this funny thing. When I used to play soccer in like, I don't know, 2nd grade, 4th grade, I have like this mentality that I am the best. Like I know I'm not, but I have to have this mentality that I am the best. So I always imagined if I had a soccer team with 11 of me, that it would be the best team ever, you know? And I feel like that mentality is like kind of toxic and it kind of carried over into like the filmmaking world. I do a lot by myself, but I always like have these dreams of like, okay, one day I'm gonna create a show like The Office or Breaking Bad, like shows I really look up to. But I like had to really sit down with myself, like no phone, journal, and just be like, for me, like I imagine like the same scenario, like me as a DP, camera person, light person, doing everything. And I'm like, that's not possible. Like there's no way. And I don't know if I want to be like a person who's just like one person on a set creating something. So I think like it might very well evolve into that as I make more connections. But I think right now it's making the best content I can as one person. I think like your friend, and I don't know him yet, but I know him through you guys, Danny Gewurz, he does really well by himself. Just like one cameraman at most sometimes. He's really good at making enticing videos. And he did make a movie with people, but he makes tons of stuff by himself. I think that's kind of what I want to go into, making high quality stuff by myself. And then if it arises that like more people want to work together, then creating like a documentary like you guys or something. But right now it's just focusing on my own skills and learning, like I said, documenting my own personal journey throughout life, like Eric does with his running. I want to do that with some hobbies because I feel like over the past few years, I've been super interested and super niche down into photo and video, which is why my channels are about that. It's almost consumed a lot of my life. But there's so much out there to enjoy, like rock climbing, hiking, just stuff that the average everyday person does instead of obsessing over camera gear.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of the end goal, is just producing high quality content and value in areas that might be lacking it, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Which is kind of like what Eric did with his running channel.
Yeah.
It's been deeply fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. It seems great. Like, if you guys are watching the the video, Eric got me into running. I bought these Hokas. It's between
Fire,
the Hokas
dude.
and the On Clouds. I think those are like the popular ones. But I bought these. We're actually wearing the same shoes, coincidentally.
Wait, can you actually, for the sake, if you're listening, you won't see this, but for the YouTube video, can you show the tallies that you added to your one?
I just started running, and I always viewed running as like a punishment because I played soccer, basketball, and it was always like, okay, you're doing sprints, you're doing suicides, whatever they call them nowadays. And you have to run as a punishment. And I'm trying to get over the hump of running as a hobby. And I think that it's been fulfilling for me to like check off. I have different colored tallies on my shoes for like the goals that I set out for myself. And ultimately, I'd like to run half a marathon by the end of the year, and I'm getting closer. But it's like that. It's like now that I'm trying not to obsess over like photo and video and trying to explore different hobbies, like my life feels a little more fulfilling.
Yeah, it can be really isolating and dreadful to not have personal hobbies in the world of art.
Yeah.
If you just, especially on an entrepreneurial pursuit of art, it can be extremely lonely. And yeah, for me, like running has been that outlet and something else I can obsess over that naturally is healthy, but doesn't feel toxic in the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I know something we've been talking about on the show a lot recently between Eric, Gene, and I is the commercial work that we're doing, a lot of the client-facing work that we do as well. And I think that's maybe less talked about, I think, in our industry where everything is very social media facing and you see a lot of the cool stuff that people get to do, the experiences, the trips, the interesting thing, the Instagram bangers, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a whole other side to our business, which is really the sustainable side. And that's the client work. It's working for clients, it's getting paid and actually building up something that can be reliable. What's your experience like been so far for client facing work within your business?
Yeah, for the people who did listen to last podcast, I ended up leaving my software engineering job and I took about 6 months off just to grow my personal business because there was, like I said, the tipping of the scale. And I was basically done with my job as a software engineer. I'd worked there for a couple of years. I was ready to go anyway. But instead of picking up a job right away, I decided to like kind of cut out the work and automate some stuff with my business. So I set up my own website with like email campaigns. I created like LUTs and presets to be on my store just so like I could sell something passively. And then I was picking up a lot of clients. And at the time, since I didn't have a job, I was picking up any client, really trying to negotiate, becoming a better negotiator, which is hard because you never know what everyone's asking rate is. Yeah. And a lot of companies that reach out to you or you reach out to, like even though they're big companies, they might not have a lot of budget for advertising. Like I've reached out to companies that are huge and they're like, oh, we have less than $1,000 to budget towards a social media campaign. And it's like, it's hard to work with that.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a couple of those. So sometimes you have to pick up like, I think at most I probably had like 8 to 10 clients that I had to do like within a 1 to 2 week period. And it's a lot of work because you're not getting a lot of money and like companies that are paying you what they think is a lot of money ask for a lot of revisions and are asking for, and we were talking about this too, like they might give you creative freedom that you will take. And then when you give them a deliverable, they'll ask for something completely different. Yeah. And it's just frustrating because they could have provided structure up front.
Yep.
So I think as I've worked with many more clients over that 6 month period, I learned that I only want to take quality clients, like clients that pay me a value that I feel is good for me and that isn't like a super long commitment or like has a good contract, not like net 180.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because
it does feel like the whole game of commercial work to rid yourself of those feelings of, spite when they come back with revision after revision is like a solid contract and things that guarantee structure on the front end, you know, and the learning experience of, okay, I want it like one of our last ones, we combed through the contract like 3 times. And we went through the deliverable section and I'm looking over Gene's shoulder and be like, be more specific on that line. Be more specific on that one. Let's say this exact number. Like, let's give a window on that number. Let's be very precise here so that when it gets to that time, there's no gray area and we can always refer back to that. And it sounds like that's what you're learning over time too, is just like, especially on the contractual side.
Yeah.
Contracts are your best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Contracts can be a real pain up front. But like you realize how necessary they are.
Oh yeah.
Because when a client asks you to over deliver, you want to have something to reference so you can get more money if you over deliver.
Yep.
You don't want to be in a point where like now they're like holding out payment until you give that over deliverment because you never agreed on a final set, even though you kind of did. It has to be in writing. And yeah, there are some clients, like even big clients, like don't have contracts, and it's crazy. Like the creative world is so different. Every brand you work with is completely different in payment, completely different in their contracts. Some people have like 4 contracts, like NDAs and like a normal contract, and then some contract to get gear, like shipped to you and shipped back. Like there's a lot of paperwork, but honestly, the more paperwork, the better, I would say. Yeah. Because it shows that they actually care, and they usually have bigger budgets and people looking over, and then you can negotiate and it ends up being good. But yeah, I don't think I have the time to take clients that are smaller now. Yeah. Like I know you guys are cutting out weddings from your business a lot as you're moving into creative filmmaking and stuff like that. And I do the same. Like I'm not doing any portraits. I'm not doing any weddings because those types of clients, they're just, for lack of a better word again, they're not worth my time because they don't have a big budget that would make my time worth it, especially when I have so little working a normal job and then using this as a side hustle.
And need plenty of hours for Call of Duty, too.
Yeah, and need plenty of hours for Call of Duty.
You have to keep that as a line item in the calendar.
Put it in the contract.
Come on, man.
I need 4 hours of Call of Duty a day, and it has to be before 12 a.m.
I need 2-hour Call of Duty breaks in the middle of our production.
I mean, the dream job is just work for Activision. Just make some videos for them.
Yes, promote, make a Call of Duty trailer.
Our friend has been doing motion graphics, and he just got hired on to Avatar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
As one of 5,000 VFX artists.
But that was mind blowing to see. Like he's super young. He's like 21, and he's just been going after it in Unreal Engine and found his way in. And
I don't even know what he is doing or using, but it's probably a very specific role because a movie like that has so many moving parts. It's just unbelievable. Super cool though.
Yeah, that's a good thing about niching down is you can get into those very specific roles.
Totally. I think what you said earlier with companies not being super formal is almost kind of encouraging. Like you see a business that has tons of success, but then you kind of see their back end and you're like, oh, this is a hot mess. And you're like, okay, cool. So if the stuff that's like a hot mess in my business, like I feel a little bit better about that. Like I could still find success. I'm not saying it's a good thing.
No, but it's like, oh, you're a company that I've looked up to for so long. You have 1,000 employees and you are just as mismanaged as I am. That's weirdly encouraging. Yeah. It kind of works out.
Yeah. The more we talk, and like you said before, like peeling the curtain back and seeing stuff is great. Like, because not to roast your studio, but like everyone here's seen this amazing thing. Yeah. But we just like barely hung this rally cap flag up, and there's like a half unpainted wall over there.
Heck yeah.
But
always. But it's better than the blanket fort that we started out with this year. But it's fun.
Yeah, we weren't hiding it there.
No, yeah. Well, like we're very transparent about the process of like what it takes to get to something like this. Like the whole breakdown video about how we built the whole set that we're in right now. Is like it's not a very attractive process. It's super tough. But it's also really helpful, I think, for people to see that, to know what it takes and how, ragtag it can be sometimes.
100%, yeah, because when I was starting, like, everyone just makes it look so easy.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you look at the big creators, and they're pumping out a video a week, and you're like, this guy is filming, traveling, editing, but then you realize he's really just, like, filming. Yeah. And there's someone editing and adding sounds and posting for them, but they don't always talk about that. No. So you don't realize that until... you're trying to do it and you're like, this is impossible. Yeah. Like, this is really impossible. How am I going to play Call of Duty? Yeah.
So it's impossible for a reason because one person isn't doing it. 10 different people have hands on that one video that you saw and it looked so impressive. But yeah, of course, that's an unrealistic standard to have for yourself.
Yeah. So like going back into like what I said before about the people that lose all their money trying to create their business, I think people need to realize that it most of the time isn't like a one-man band. Like, paying to get a worker or paying to get someone to edit could severely like increase your production and the money for your business. Like it's something I'm definitely thinking about in the future. Like I think that's another step in my process is getting someone to actually help me because it's getting to that point where I can't post every day and I can't create content for every social media every day because I have no time to do anything else. Like it's really, I'm not like burnt out, but at the same time, like always burnt out, I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah. But yeah. Yep. Like I'm still doing it, but like I'm burnt out.
Yeah. It's always nagging in the back of your head. Yeah. Like you can always remember like, oh, I haven't posted to YouTube in a while or Instagram or Twitter, whatever it is. Like I mean, what you said earlier, the feed the beast mentality. Of
Yes.
like,
Yep.
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. Eric, how's it been for you? Because I mean, it's been 8 months now, 10 months since you brought Shua into your business.
Yeah, it's been it's increased anxiety in that payroll is new now. You know, it's like every single week that money's coming out of the account. So it's a balance of how is it being made back? And it had like we have had a ton of personal expenses with my family. We spent a lot of money on production for the documentary we shot all last year. So just watching the bank account drain and drain and drain has been making me feel really anxious. But knowing that this phase is a huge investment phase, and it feels like we're finally turning that corner and seeing the fruit of all these investments and what is on the horizon financially in a strict financial sense. So that's looking at it from a business practical sense. On a personal side, it's lovely. It is lovely.
Yeah.
You know, everyone asks me how I balance everything all at once, and my response is always community. And Shua has been grafted into this community and is arguably the glue that holds everything I do together at this point. You know, the running channel you've referenced would be wholly impossible without him. He shoots and edits virtually all of it. So that's not profitable right now, but again, it's an investment. Like I'm seeing it as something that could really turn into something way bigger later. And it's I mean, today I shot a little mini documentary for the running channel and she was not working today. And I'm like, I can't remember the last time I've shot something just by myself. Like this is taking forever. It is like, oh my, I've had to do like 7 trips up and down stairs to go get other things.
Yeah.
And I've done like 70 different checks to make sure I have every basis covered. And I just wasted like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. Like you just can't same to your point with making a TV show or a movie. You
Literally
can't
impossible.
do it alone. Like,
No.
Yeah.
and
Filmmaking is a team sport, as our friends at Sunny 16 have said,
Yes.
and put on a T-shirt.
but hearing some of Casey's perspective in that 3-hour podcast he was just on, like he talks. One of them was like, "You want to make movies? Like you ready?" And he's just like, "No, I hate it. I can't. I don't have the attention span." And he's like, "I like making short movies about my favorite city on planet Earth." And it's like, he really knows what he wants. And there's something really encouraging about that, because I think a lot of people tell you like, okay, well, the next step for you is making a movie now, you know? And I think that's the last thing I want to convey. Like me, you know, us doing the doc and Danny doing his movie. I feel like a lot of filmmakers are gonna be like, okay, well, once I get there, then I'll make my movie. And you're like, if you want to. Like,
I think it's cool for the people that have that as a lifelong dream.
yes.
I think us and Danny as a proof of concept is incredible, especially Danny. Like what he pulled together is actually unbelievable.
Yes.
And I think logistically impossible for a lot of people to actually pull off.
Yeah.
So for the people that have had that as a lifelong dream, like I have had a screenplay since I was 12 or whatever, like that's so cool to see those people that you admire actually set out and accomplish that thing in a very untraditional way. Like that is hugely inspiring, but it is not a guaranteed thing that when we publish the documentary in whatever capacity that is, or that when Danny's movie is potentially purchased after a festival, that he immediately would jump into another film.
Right.
But it's not a guaranteed next thing. Like maybe by the end of this, we're like, hey, that was a one and done thing. Maybe it's not, but also we have no idea. Like there's just no expectation that would be a guaranteed next step.
Yeah, I think a good thing that Eric said was that he's viewing it as like an investment phase, because I think most people have to view it as like that. Like you're never, I don't think, going to jump into a creative side hustle and instantly be making money. I think you need to have some sort of fund in, unless you're doing some real, I don't even know, unless you're doing like very low production like stuff. But if you're trying to get into stuff like we do, you definitely need a budget. You definitely need people to help you. And that is the reason, like I work the 9 to 5. Like I was telling Steven, like I'm interested in travel. I would like to get like an RV or a converted Sprinter van at some point. But making that money, if I was to quit my job and just do my side hustle, like the money in and money out would be like net even or negative.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I have to have a 9 to 5 if I want to achieve my goal of doing that longer travel, which to me is an investment. So I might not be saving as much money as I want right now, but I'm like you, I have anxiety, but I know that this is like an investment into what I want to do.
Yeah.
And even if I don't end up liking it, or like you don't end up wanting to do another doc or another movie, like you are going to learn what you really want to do after ruling these things out. So
I think it's really cool. What you're doing is what I like to teach. I think a lot of people with a traditional business plan are looking for investment money or looking for a loan or any way to get that bank rolling. And what you're doing is kind of hacking the system and bankrolling yourself through time and work through a different job that's wholly unrelated to the thing you want to grow or be profitable. And I think a lot of people miss that. And it's really hard work. Like getting a loan is a lot easier than bankrolling yourself through more work. But it's anxiety on a whole new level. And it puts on the pressure of needing to make the money back, or else you're crippled with the debt. And so for me personally, like that's a wonderful business plan if it works, like that's how a lot of businesses happen. And a great idea with a lot of hard work that pays that money back. Great. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in the debt. Because I think it could, in a lot of ways, it could cripple you and not make you want to pursue that next thing, whether it's the RV or want to continue in the creative thing, But yeah, that's just my experience, and I think it's really cool, and I think it'll be really encouraging for a lot of people to hear that as well. And you're not a failure if you have to have another job outside of your creative endeavors,
I think that's the wiser way to go about it also. Because, I mean, some businesses, you need a loan to jumpstart things, right? Like, it would take way too long
Two lifetimes.
like work a full-time job and raise your own capital kind of
Construction
mentality.
company.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's not possible. But like us being in the creative field, we have such low overhead comparatively. So it's like, you could just grind it out for 2 or 3 years, save that money, put it aside, and then you have the equipment or the connections, or you've booked the right travel experiences and opportunities and things like that. That is comparatively so much cheaper to fund and so much more feasible to fund yourself, which is amazing. So I think for a lot of people, it is a much wiser decision to just work that job for a couple of years. 100%.
I think it's funny to me when I see creatives like make reels like, oh, you don't think I'm worth it? Well, my camera's $2,000 and da 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 da, and they're like listing off $20,000 worth of gear, and I'm like, all right, well, you don't have a commercial space with 10 salaries to pay and like $100,000 worth of equipment. Like there are businesses that are so much bigger than you. And like that perspective is so interesting. Like, I get it. I'm not trying to downplay that business costs money, but like a little bit of perspective is really interesting in realizing there are so many more businesses that have 100 times overhead and so much more risk.
You can start a wedding photography business with 10 grand.
Yeah.
Easy. Easy. That's probably one of the cheapest and highest returning jobs you could create for yourself.
Such a great way to get into the game.
100%. Absolutely.
You make a lot of money. I think one thing that's important is like understanding like the perspective too, that a lot of careers don't start until like I think I'm 26. I'm pretty sure. But
I never know how old I
don't
am.
know. After 2020.
Yeah, you just don't.
After
Listen,
2020,
he slept for 3 hours tonight. You don't have to worry.
I'm pretty sure I'm 26. I'm either 26 or 25. I'm pretty sure I'm 26. But anyway, there are a lot of he's just cracking up. There are a lot of jobs that don't start until like you're 30. Like if you're a doctor, even an NFL coach, like the youngest NFL coaches are like 30, 35.
Yeah.
Like that means I wouldn't start my dream job for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So if I would just work my 9 to 5 and then started filmmaking when I was like 35, I'd be on pace with like some other people's career paths.
Yeah.
But everyone wants to jump into like filmmaking as like an 18-year-old, and that's like not sustainable. And if you have to take those crappy jobs that don't have good guidelines, you will burn yourself out, you will spite it, and you could end up hating it. So I think, like we said, is like you have to find a way, like especially if you know the overhead is 20 grand, you can work for a year, make 20 grand, learn people skills. Write up your own contract. So if you do get a bad client, you can have your own contract to send over to them. And those are way more valuable than brute forcing working in the job you want and then losing all your money, going into debt, and then having this anxiety and hatred towards the thing that put you in debt. So, yeah.
Those are some good words, man.
Something that was deeply
great.
encouraging to me was the doc trip when Ryan Booth came, and he was like kind of evaluating my business and life, and he had seen my work from the outside, you know, me making videos about how much I make a year, all the things we have going on, the production and what we were making at that point. And he was just like, "How old are you?" Because Ryan's 40.
40.
He's like, "How old are you?" I was like, 31, kind of similar to you. I was like, "Wait, how am I?" Yeah. He's like 31, and he didn't say anything. He just went, "Huh, okay." And it was like, just that interaction alone was so encouraging to me. Someone who is, you know, almost a decade older than me, just being like, "You're fine. Like you're on a great path right now." In the same vein of like, yeah, no, a lot of people aren't making a feature length documentary until their late 30s, you know, my age, 40s, you know, so, and we didn't really sign up to do that. It just kind of naturally happened.
We just did it.
Yeah, we're just like finding ourselves in this position of like, oh yeah,
I think that is because of the work that you put in, the money that you made doing other things.
exactly.
Allowed you to do that.
Exactly.
And that's
Never
kind of
would
the
have
same-
done it.
Yeah, the same thing that we're preaching is like sometimes you have to do another path and then it opens up opportunities. Like if you work really hard and get great gear, now you can go into anything. You could do wedding photography, you
Yep.
could do landscape photography, you could do anything because now you got the gear. And I think that's a good point. It's like, yeah.
There's quite literally no way we would have been able to do it had I not done my photo video education. Like it just would not have happened functionally. I wouldn't have spent that much. And the other crazy thing is like the dynamic that we have as a group of everyone just kind of being like, yeah, there's kind of no budget. Let's just do this collectively and trust each other. Allowed us to do it for a fifth of the price it probably should have cost to do the production.
10th even. 10th. Yeah. Shoestring.
Yeah, like quite literally everybody just saying, no, I will put in my time and energy to be a part of this is a deeply profound thing. And now we're having conversations, you know, getting in the editing process and potentially festival market and potentially getting purchased by a streaming service or whoever. And it's the upside is just so much larger than we ever could have imagined.
Yeah. Like life-changing upside, potentially.
Definitely.
To think that that started as an idea of a mini documentary that was made specifically to be put on YouTube, and now we're here is unbelievable. Like that's how this project started.
Yeah, and to zoom out on this conversation, it's just about like the diligence of. That's why I don't like shying away from talking about money, because another thing Ryan said, and I've talked about this on this podcast, is on that trip he said money is energy. Like if you really focus on money being energy to be the fuel that you want it to be for the projects you want to do, that's exactly what it is. And it does open up those doors in the creative world that you just never thought were possible. And when you're presented that opportunity and you build up that community and you make the relationships with those people, all of a sudden you have a conversation and it's like, I never thought that was possible for me in my career. Do you want to do it together? Yeah, we're going to do it. We're bankrolled by ourselves and let's go, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I see a lot of that on your horizon, which is really exciting. And you're doing wildly amazing things at the age of 25 or 6 or whatever you are.
Whatever you think you are.
Yeah.
I can't wait to check in with you another year from now and see where you're
I
at.
can't believe you're 26. Holy crap. You don't look older than that, but it's just, yeah, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's I'm just carving out my path right now. Like I said, I hope, like I met people that had listened to the last episode that really said it inspired them, because like last year I was in that phase of still building up, which I still think I am.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are in that, and I like hearing like your perspectives being ahead of me, saying the money is fuel, because you know I haven't thought of it that way, but at the same time I subconsciously have thought of it that way, because I've realized like I can't go and quit my job because I will not have any way to make money. So it's all great stuff. And yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys said, because between like networking and like producing this, like you said, like this is a big investment for you. But I told Steven that on my plane ride over, I watched like this big budget film that was not good at all. And I just think, I know you guys, I know the work you produce, that the documentary is going to be amazing. And I just know that like that small investment, like this bootstrap documentary project, could open up such a large scale, heavy investment project. And that's exciting.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people need to know is like, you need to invest in yourself first. Like you have to be the one to believe in yourself. That's what, like the same thing. I believe I'm the best. I know I'm not the best at taking photos, at filmmaking or anything, but I believe if I could clone myself, like my determination and mindset could get me to the finish line. And I think that's what like you, Steven, Danny, we all have that mindset that if we're going to do it and we have the sustainability and the energy to do it, it will get done.
We see it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, what movie was it on the plane? Tell me.
Roasted.
It was called, I think it was like A Ride Home in the Dark. I don't even remember the name. It was so bad.
A Ride Home in the Dark.
Yeah, it's like
Sounds awful.
I'll give you like a quick. If anyone doesn't want to hear a spoiler about a movie that's very bad, they can go forward like a minute. But
60-second reviews with Tyler Steele. Here we go.
Boom. All right,
Here we go.
So it's about a guy who goes into the wilderness with his like his wife and his 2 kids, and so maybe I misinterpreted the movie. I don't think I did, because it's very straightforward. There's no like real twists or turns, which is a bad movie, you know. But anyway, so this guy gets pulled up on by 2 people, and they go to like rob him. They murder his family, and they like start taking him, and they slowly reveal like his past and why he did it. And the whole reason that they like kidnapping him is because like some kid went to like, he was a teacher at this school that like beat children, and they like used like a metal wire to like scrub this kid's skin off his arm. So they like killed his whole family and then took him back to the place where he did it. And there was 2 guys that like kidnapped him, and the one like goes to kill him. He ends up like losing the fight to the guy, but he's like on his last dying breath. And then the twist of the movie is that the other guy in the like bad guy side shoots the other bad guy, and the only line he says is like, "I really don't like this school." Movie ends.
No.
I swear, I don't know what happened.
Oh, wow. That's an airplane movie right there.
Yeah, it was
wow.
bad. It was on Netflix. It's a
Dude,
Netflix movie.
There's
Like,
so much garbage on Netflix.
Yeah, like everyone talks about like, oh, this camera's Netflix approved, but like the movies on Netflix shouldn't even be Netflix approved. They're bad. All right, I'm done.
And the wild thing is probably like a $20 million budget to make that
it's
happen.
probably like a lot.
Something
but,
completely inflated.
and it was like shot over the course of like one night. So like it was like just like they went out nighttime, and that was like the whole movie. So it was like one day.
Sick.
So it was, I'm sure they used multiple days. It was
Yeah.
like one day, and it wasn't like not a lot of actors, no
interested in
special
that at all.
effects. The script writing was just bad.
Well, take that as encouragement that
Yeah,
you can make your own movie someday that'll be better than that. Maybe end up on Netflix.
Almost
Yeah.
assuredly. Yeah. Yeah, we'll link the movie Dark Home Night Ride below.
Don't link it. Don't link it.
Don't link it. Kyler, thank you so much, man. This has been super fun.
Yes, thank you guys.
Do you want to see the doc trailer in a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I would.
Awesome.
Why
Fantastic.
wouldn't I?
Well, we won't show it here, but we'll show you in a sec. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, if you are feeling generous today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for being here. Like, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you. Love you so much. We'll see you next week on Rally Caps.
Thanks for being our first guest.
Yeah.
Yes. First guest in the
In
studio.
the
First
studio.
guest in this new studio.
It's exciting.
Who
Let's go,
knows where
man.
we will be in 1 year from now?
Yeah. You'll be 27 probably.
Maybe.
Or 6.
Or 6. Yeah. Whichever one.
Let's go look at your driver's license. Peace.
Rally Caps out.